Well, hello and welcome to our latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview. Today, it's my pleasure to be joined by James Gibbons. James is Principal and Director of GDP Partnership here in Belfast, Northern Ireland. James, delighted you could join us. How are you today?
Very well, Richard. Very well. Thank you. And thank you for hosting.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us today and giving us your time. Why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for?
Right, yeah, certainly. We set up GDP Partnership post the global financial crash in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And really, the idea behind the origination of the business was to try and help people who were in distress, because obviously people were facing and feeling major issues in their personal and business lives.
Sure.
So we identified a need to try and assist people work through their issues, primarily financial, but that also leads into family and personal issues as well. And people do find it very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
We often say when we meet the clients, have you done the 4 o'clock walk? And they ask what that is. And then when you say, you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, pacing around the house, they tend to understand what it is, because most people who've been in some sort of financial difficulty or otherwise would have been up in the middle of the night trying to figure out what the solution is. So we basically designed the business to provide solutions for people in difficulty, which primarily involves negotiation and mediation with banks and financial institutions. We've had a tremendous amount of success doing that. So we don't promote bankruptcy, we don't promote insolvency. What we promote is dialogue and mediation, and that works for the client. It's a better resolution, and the banks are very sympathetic to that.
Very good, excellent, and a very worthwhile endeavor, especially like you say, after the crash, when so many people did actually crash, so many businesses crashed. I was even speaking to somebody the other day, and they said it was just like a bird flying into a window.
Yeah.
It didn't come off gradually. It was just sudden, boom, crash.
Yeah. It was cataclysmic for the vast majority of the population. But thankfully, a lot of people now are back on their feet. They've dealt with a lot of their issues. They've moved on. So we then set up another business, funding business called ClearPath, to allow people access to finance to get them out of their problems, or new avenues of finance for them, because the banks here at the moment, because they weren't capitalized very well, we're doing limited lending. So if you were a very good client and a very strong balance sheet, a very clean credit history, yes, they would lend to you. But if you didn't tick all those boxes, then they wouldn't lend you any money. And most businesses do need access to finance to grow, whether it be equity or debt or some form of mezzanine debt. So that's proved to be very successful over the last number of years.
Very good, very good. So I suppose the word ideal is not nice to use in this scenario, but who's your ideal customer?
In the great scheme of things, one key thing for no matter who comes to speak to us, or I would say to anybody in business, is you must be fully prepared to engage with your advisory team. You tend to find, and we've a very good listening ear, but it's very important that people come forward with information, put all the facts in front of us or another, so they can assess what their actual needs and requirements are. Now, sometimes they're not too sure what the solution may be, and we are very solutions driven, but with all the facts put down, we can normally work out a strategy or a solution for the client. So very engagement, good. I would say full engagement is critical.
Yeah, sure. No, that's great, and clarifies it maybe for some people that don't realize, one, what your business is, what you're doing, what you're providing, and also if they would fit that scenario.
That's
so
right.
What has been your biggest learning since you've been in business?
Well, I've had to get a lot of patience, which I don't have a lot of. So patience and understanding, I think, for everybody in business is very important. But it's very important for somebody in business to, we always say this, be well prepared and devise a plan. Doesn't necessarily have to be a business plan, but it's like a journey. So like anybody leaving to go on their holidays, if they're say on the island of Ireland, they need a roadmap. So we try and help them, persuade them, and assist them in the provision of a roadmap. But you try to understand what your destination is over a period of time, whether it be 6 months, 12 months, or 2 years. I think it's very difficult to say, well, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? But certainly, 12 to 24 months, people should have a bit of a plan of where they want to get to. And, sometimes you just need to speak to somebody like us for a few signposts, and or some advice to help them move forward.
Yeah. So sounds good. Excellent advice. So, James, when you were growing up, is this something that you always wanted to do? Be a businessman, be involved in business?
Well, I come from a family of people who have always been very entrepreneurial in a business, and I actually qualified as solicitor in Northern Ireland, and I left private practice some years ago, because I wanted to pursue other interests, which we've done successfully, I might add. But when the global financial crash actually happened, everything that I had experienced in my business life became very, very useful, and hence we're able to set up this business and a number of other businesses. So it sort of evolved. It evolved from an idea, but through the education process, and I reckon everybody could take advantage of it if they can. It helped us certainly arrive where we are today.
Totally. Yeah, no, really good point there, to take as much education along your journey as you can possibly get.
Absolutely.
So what would you say has been the biggest issue you've overcome? I don't necessarily mean for your current clients or since that, I just mean in your whole sort of business journey. For you personally, what would have been like the biggest issue you've overcome?
I think, it's a good question. And I think when you sit back and reflect on when you start a new business, people have to understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a bit of time to get the foundations. And certainly we found that the first 3 to 6 months, until people understood what we were doing, we had to get the message out. Getting that message out is very, very important about the service you provide and how you can help people.
Yeah.
So if you're starting a new business, or anybody that's in business, it does take a bit of time to get established and move forward. And if you look around at business in Northern Ireland or elsewhere, the ones that have been here established for many, many years are obviously very, very successful. But when you start a new business, it does take a bit of time to get on your feet. So again, back to a bit of patience, hard work, dedication to your role, and you will get there.
Super. And what have you learned most about yourself then during the journey? Like I know you said earlier patience, and you mentioned it just there in that one, but anything else that you'd like to share with us about what you've learned about yourself?
I think when you take on a business and you get it up and you get it running, you get a degree of satisfaction from it working because you're helping people.
Yeah.
So you do get a large degree of satisfaction when people are very distressed, or you provide a financial product that they can make use of to help them grow their business, employ more people. So you do take a lot of personal satisfaction from helping people. So when you do meet them in the street, they're very keen to talk to you again. They say, you did help me. You provided a lot of solutions. We're now doing well, or we've dealt with some really bad issues, and now we're expanding and we're moving on. So when you reflect over the evening, it's nice to think about the people you've actually helped in their life journey and their business journey.
Yeah. No, and I had an uncle years ago who was in the medical profession. And like you're saying there, when you take an evening and reflect, he said there's nothing that could beat that internal sort of satisfaction of having helped others.
Right. I would agree with that. I think that's a very good comment.
Yeah. So for you, what's been the most surprising aspect of being in business and being a business owner?
The most surprising aspect?
Yeah.
I suppose when you embark on a journey, you don't really fully understand the amount of time, effort, and commitment that's required, certainly initially, to get it up and running. Hiring staff, expanding the business, doing the marketing, getting the product in the marketplace, having the meetings with people. getting the paperwork organized, filing with all, your accounts, engaging with accountants. It's never ending. So you do have to be committed to a process, and you just have to stick at it.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of folks that we've spoken to on the series have, I guess, used the old example of all these spinning plates. And when they started off, they maybe didn't realize how many plates there were.
How many plates there were? Yeah. I think that's fair comment. Yeah.
So James, who would inspire you today in business?
Yeah, well, the people that I do admire, I mean, it's okay to run out the names, and I was thinking about maybe who we should talk about, and there are the names like Branson and Musk and all the rest of them.
Sure.
But I think you have to admire anybody, even at a local level, who has shown commitment and drive and stickability over the years. I mean, we look at local businesses that have done very well. The Canis, for example, is spun out from Queens, and I mean, there's derivatives in Uri. He lost Brian Conlon a few years ago.
Yeah,
that kind of commitment and people who have a bit of vision and are prepared to back themselves and move forward. I mean, that's who we should be looking to. So sure. I wouldn't say there's one individual in particular. I would say there are plenty of examples, and it's where you can find inspiration from those various people.
Totally. No, and I love that you used, I guess, some of the global ones that everybody's heard of and know of, but brought it back to be local. And I always think of some of the local ones, and there's been some very successful business owners, as you know, here locally, but they've been really committed to plowing money and revenue back into the local economy or into the local education system, maybe supporting the likes of Queens or UU, things like that there. And I think all of them provide inspiration for us, if we just take time to look around us locally.
Well, there are a number of people. There are a number of people we would know of. I mean, there's, for example, Terry Cross, who sold out his Delta business and is now embarked on the Hinch Distillery. It's a Ballinhinch.
Yes.
Frank Boyd of embarked on with his family Shortcross Gin, among others. So these people who've made money are reinvesting back into the local economy again, creating more jobs, trying to get some export, and that kind of good work has to be admired.
Yeah, totally. So apart from people like that, do you have any sort of favorite books that you would delve into for motivation, or are you one of these ones that jumps onto listen to a podcast for some motivation, or what drives you yourself?
I think motivation is instilled within the being of yourself, and it comes from within, and there are a lot of different motivational speakers out there that I'd be aware of. So I don't really go to them because I think at times of self-reflection, if you love your work and you can assist your clients, I mean, motivation should come from within. Now, to refocus oneself, I do believe in meditation, which does help. I probably don't do enough of it, to be honest. But I think to help one focus and move forward, and calm one and the turbulent journeys ahead, it's certainly something that if you haven't explored it before, I would certainly recommend it for most people.
Yeah. No, I worked with a great gentleman in one of my previous roles. He was originally from Colombia, lived in the States for a long time, and had then long-term been living in Ireland, where the company was that I worked with. And every night after work, he went home out onto his balcony, sat there and took time for that meditation, self-reflection, reflecting on the day. And he shared a lot of that with me of the benefit that had brought to him. And I think now more and more we hear about meditation, taking time to get away from the humdrum of activity, and just take time to peace yourself, calm yourself, like you said, and to reflect. And
it may not be for a lot of people, Richard. It may not be meditation. It may be taking the dog for a walk,
Yeah.
taking the cat out to the forest, go for a walk along the beach.
Yeah.
That may be their way to take some personal time
Sure.
to calm themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Depending how well the dog walks.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. True.
So, James, what does the future look like, and what do you see as some of the main challenges moving forward then?
Well, I think technology now, I mean, when I started in business, or started in work, I can remember when the firm I was working for, there was a postal strike and they got a fax machine.
Yeah.
And you had to actually load the paper and all this good stuff. Probably younger people don't even know what a fax machine is now, probably.
Yeah.
And now the world has evolved so quickly,
Sure.
in time and space and time. And now we're looking at AI, and AI is definitely going to have, I would say, dramatic and potentially cataclysmic changes for the good, for society, and potentially for the bad. I haven't formed a final view on that as yet, but
Yes.
it's moving so rapidly at the moment, that you can just see there'll be huge societal changes in the next 5 and certainly 10 years.
Yes.
And that'll have an impact on human lifestyles, work practices, and all this good stuff that's coming down the line. Where it's going to get to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, will we end up whereby we'll all be in the house and AI will run everything for us? I mean, who knows? Some people would like to think that. I don't think so. But certainly from a societal perspective and from a professional business perspective, I mean, if you're not on AI, you should be on it now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would say that's good advice. It's certainly one of those, I guess, like a snowball, and growing momentum and speed and size and impact.
It's moving very quickly, and the technological changes what's now available. It's leaping forward so quickly.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get your head around it, to be fair.
Sure. Well, it's like you said, when you started off, when I started off, you always knew where the phone was because it was plugged in at one place in the hall. When a mobile phone meant a carrier bag of coins so you could use the phone box. And I too had the enjoyment of faxes and telex and all that sort of stuff. And now these things that people wear on their wrists or carry in their hand have more power and more, I guess, technology and memory than some of the first computers that came out when we were kids,
Incredible.
the
Absolutely
Commodores and the
incredible.
Spectrums and stuff like that there. So absolutely incredible, like you say. So on the back of that, then, what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business for themselves now?
Again, another very good question, but I think everybody has to be encouraged because people do have ideas. People want to work for themselves rather than work for maybe somebody else. So if they've got a good business idea, and they've done a bit of research and they're fair, and perhaps they need to speak to somebody in local government that can help, or an advisory firm, maybe somebody like yourself or ourselves, Richard, to move things forward. I would say, take the opportunity, grasp it, go for it. If it doesn't work, go again. But if it's a good enough, idea, a good enough business, good enough foundations, you're in with a very good chance.
Yeah, and what I've found in I guess my various roles, but also in this Business Spotlight series, is speaking to so many business owners that really encourage all business owners to network and talk to each other, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out, and they'd really be surprised how the business community wants to step in and help each other.
The worst thing anybody can do is, if they don't know the answer to the question, is not ask the question.
Yeah.
You need to say, I don't know. Nobody has all the answers.
Sure.
And the worst thing you can do is sit and pretend that you know the answer when you don't even know what the question means.
Yeah. Brilliant advice. Good poignant information. So if we could wind back the clock, Well, I might have hair if I wind back the clock, but if I wind back the clock, what's the best advice that you would give to an 18-year-old James?
It's funny, I always say this to my friends as well, that when their children are growing up, you shouldn't push your children or younger people in a certain direction. If younger people have got a vent and they like to do something, whether it be in business, sport, whatever field that is, encourage them and strongly encourage them without pushing them down a certain road. Because you tend to find that if you get in business and you actually work in something that you like at, one, you'll be better at than probably most of your peers. Two, you'll be motivated to do it. And three, you'll be completely committed because you like what you're doing, as opposed to saying, well, I can be earning £500,000 a year, £1 million a year, but I hate what I'm doing. That just won't work.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant advice to end on, and 3 really good points. So James, look, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend time with us, and thank you, certainly from myself, but from everybody who benefits from the Business Spotlight series. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Richard, and very nice to speak to you too.
Thanks.